Saitech Inc. is your trusted IT solution provider since 2002. Saitech Inc. was incorporated in Fremont, California, with a mission of providing innovative technology solutions with outstanding cost savings to our valued clients.
All I can say, you guys, Saitech is a beautiful partner. We loved to working with them. Doing business with them is doing easy business, especially as it relates to Dell products. And of course, you see they have a lot of support from Dell. So we're happy that you guys were able to attend, and we look forward to closing some business with you all. Thank you.
All right, Sonia and Mark, thank you very much. Let's get it kicked off. We have a lot to cover, and what I can say is that I'm Patrick Langlois. I'm based out of Austin, Texas. But as soon as I love what I saw, people in the office. We need to go out there, hopefully safely, but we're almost there. So I'm looking forward to meet every single one of you in person, and yeah, anything we could do. So if there's any questions during the presentation, feel free to send your questions in the chat box. Mark, Adam, Sonia will be monitoring the queue, and we'll address the questions as we go. And I'm sure Mark will interrupt me if there's anything. So let's get it kicked off. So we did the introduction. So I take care of everything in the data center. So I'm the channel system engineer working directly with Saitech, and yes, I've been doing this wonderful job for more than 30 years, believe it or not. So, been really focused in the last generation or so around virtualization. So my roots are also from VMware, but been doing this for quite a while. So from hardware to software companies, back to hardware. This has been a fun journey, and it's not over yet. When you speak to myself or Mark or Sonia, we're really excited about our technology, and what better time to go to market. Dell Technologies is one of the last manufacturers that does it all, from end client to data centers. So when you're considering Dell Technologies, you have to almost remember that plays a huge role. But coming down to what we're trying to do when we're looking at growing the landscape of data and all the challenges that the independent data growth presents, and really bridging the gaps, that this landscape of the development world, or DevOps, if we call it. It's more that the world, thinking about developers and what they want, and being flexible and having flexible demands to storage infrastructures and just infrastructures as a whole. It's a lot of pressure on the middle teams and these IT infrastructure teams that have to accommodate the back and forth, and really trying to figure out, how do we make these decisions on infrastructure, and how do we allow development staff and the engineering staff to these pieces of infrastructure in an effective way. And here is really, when we're looking at where we were in the previous generations and where we're transitioning to and where we're moving to in this next data era, as we call it, this is where you're seeing that divide grow more and more. And the folks, when you're looking at the folks at Saitech, can be more in tune with the fact that there's this chasm that existed between the infrastructure customer. Well, this is huge. We also built the system that is highly scalable, and so it doesn't just accommodate the smallest different structures of the largest infrastructure, but it can do anything and everything between. So that's the beauty of it. So we have the ability to add capacity in a very modular fashion, and that doing this either at single increments of drives, that's something that we wanted to. So start small and grow as the business grows, and that is the feel of adding additional what we call appliances within a cluster. So when we're looking at this, as you can see here, there's different flavors of editions. We show the PowerStore 5000, Saitech 3000, 1000, or 9000. They can all live together in the same cluster, and that's the beauty of it. because obviously we understand that there's different needs for all these different workloads, enterprise or mid-range, at and at the end of the day, it's at a very effective cost at the mid-range prices. And so you'll see, if you're familiar with our solutions, the PowerMax, the biggest, baddest array out there, we're bringing down features from the highest, baddest array down to our mid-range storage. And that is pretty interesting. So when we're looking at this, we mentioned efficiency right out of the gate. And to make sure we do that, we have 4-to-1 data reduction. And that is really critical when you're looking to grow your landscape. It's a bit mind-boggling because I've been doing this for quite a while. Back in the good old days, we were talking about adding more drives to have the biggest performance. It's changing, and that's changing because the technology is really fast when we're looking at NVMe technology. But when we're looking at this equation from $1 per gigabyte and what it actually costs, being able to reduce that data down in a highly efficient manner, but at the same time, without compromising performance of the system, we work really hard to develop PowerStore in collaboration of technology like Intel. So you'll see technology like QAT or Quick Assist technology. And that really is embedded in the controllers so we can offload data and have this huge data reduction and being able to guarantee it upfront. And as you can see, 4-to-1 is what we offer right out of the gate. 20-to-1 is all the end objectives, so it's up to. So that's, when we're looking at this, from what you can see, it's highly efficient, highly capable of handling any type of workload that you can throw at the system. So that makes it really efficient. So let's touch a bit about how intelligent it needs to be. We're not just talking of living in the legacy generation, but hey, this is what we used to do. But moving forward into the next generation concept of being able to plug in any of these landscapes into autonomous capabilities. Again, I keep on bringing this, and this is for us to make sure we focus on the business and less on the technology. This has a lot of capabilities, and I'll pick on the DevOps, infrastructure as code. Think about all these buzzwords out there that we hear. Well, we want to make sure we accommodate that with PowerStore right out of the gate. So this is a few of the capabilities. When we're looking at PowerStore and how it's highly programmable, it's critical, without missing any piece of the equation. It's like you're not losing graphical interface, or the user interface is not, going to be lost by having these features. It's not a question about, losing features, but it's more about plugging into an API type of world. So think of it as, here we're showing VMware, Kubernetes, or Ansible. These are all ways to integrate fully in an automation, orchestrated, capabilities where we can actually have either full Kubernetes container-based deployments, methodologies, or container-based plugins straight out to the PowerStore array, and that is huge. And that is based off REST API that most of you are familiar with, hopefully. But, where I want to come down to is, if you want to do CLI scripts, or if you want to do Python or Python SDK, knock yourself out. This is however you want to interact with the array. You've got the capability with PowerStore.
Hey, Patrick, I want to just add something to that slide there, because it's really important. If you want to go back a bit here. You brought up a really great analogy earlier about a self-driving car, right? And when I think of PowerStore, when I'm talking to my customers about PowerStore, it is that, right? It gives you that ability to be, to help solve these business challenges that you really don't care what's going on behind the scenes. It's kind of doing it for you. It's automating those processes, right? It's got those automated end-to-end workflows, right? So that's the thing that really, was like that self-driving car, right? It helps you with day 2 and day 3. And there are no other companies out there that are developing technology like this to give you this capability. So that's my analogy around the self-driving car or automated workflows here. So if there's anything you take away from this slide, is just that, is giving you time back instead of, giving you days back, because you can deploy these resources in seconds. That's all I wanted to say, Patrick.
Thanks a lot, Mark. And I'm a big believer, especially of the self-service catalogs. How many times have we been hearing about that? I mean, how many times? This is more real. Like, this is more real than ever now, because everybody's trying to hit that magic button where it deploys and automates with either functionality as service now, and just open a task and it automates it. This is as close as it gets. It's getting there, if not already. So yeah, really good point, Mark. And I'm really sold to the idea of this autonomous space. We should have self-driving or self-flying cars at this point. So let's start with the edge. So edge is really popular, or think of it as remote location, or what's really attractive scenarios for customers. We see this in retail space. Seeing that highly scalable storage at the endpoint, and so this becomes very attractive model because a power store is like 2U form factor, and we can store close to nearly 1 petabyte of high performance capacity inside 2 rack units, as small as it gets. So that being said, let's move on to this, perfect fit for that. And I'll show you a few other examples of where we see the power store fit. So when you're looking at this, obviously you can, looking at scenarios at the edge, but making sure you can integrate it with your core data center infrastructure. And that is really important. So even extending this to cloud. So a lot of conversations come around data gravity. And I don't know if that is the case or not, but what does it mean to solve the data gravity problem, right? And that's one of the big focuses that we have with PowerStore is, and Dell Technologies as primary storage, is delivering the capabilities where we can extrapolate data sets from hyperscalers and allow you to use all the data sets and all the compute and the scalability that comes with it. Mark, I don't know if you have any thoughts to that, or if you want to share any insights as well, or.
No, absolutely. I think you're doing a great job, Patrick. But I think when you look at it conceptually, from core to edge to cloud, think of a one-stop shop, right? So PowerStore can deliver some of those modern and traditional workloads across the core to edge to cloud, right? Because we have, your customers, everyone's talking about the public cloud, right? So how do I get there, right? Now, do I have a technology that can now allow me to do a hybrid approach, right? So PowerStore works very closely with, leveraging the VMware tools, VMware Cloud Foundation, so that you're able to move these workloads from the core to edge to cloud in a very simplistic manner. So a number of use cases there. We're seeing a lot of customers leverage that and leverage that apps on capability, which Patrick was describing there shortly ago. So, first in the industry, we're the only ones doing it, and we're very excited about this technology.
Yeah, and nothing stops off, and the power of and is huge here. And really the point, as you can see in this one, I may have went too quickly on it, but PowerStore sitting right next to a hyper-converged is not uncommon, right? You can use that external capacity, or you can use that primary storage. You can do both, as simple as that, and really vMotion from side to side to any ESX server in your environment. And that's the beauty of it. But it doesn't stop there, right? And then, I was telling you about the capabilities, give you an example of Google Cloud, what Google has to offer, or that AWS has to offer, or Azure. All offers keeping that data extrapolated out of solving that data gravity problem, but giving you the high performance, low latency, and extremely scalable, as you can see. And 2 petabytes it's really a cool way of doing things. And you know, when we're talking about infrastructure lifecycle management, some customers are asking, how do you keep things fresh, right? How are you being able to maintain lifecycle management, not just with the application, but also the core IT infrastructure? And that is huge. All right, so let's move on to the latest and greatest. I want to show you that we have launched the version 2 of PowerStore from an OS perspective, and that is huge. So there's no longer that excuse of somebody saying to myself or Mark, this is a version 1. We'll wait. We'll let the bugs out. Well, it's out. Version 2. Bam. Not only did we not stop there, we launched. Oh my goodness, where's my PowerStore 500? Did I just forgot the 500 in there? Yes, I did. So I should have a 500 sitting right here. So we have a smaller version of this one, and I'll get right to it. Where does it fit? So originally we launched the 1000 T and X that you probably saw really quickly in my slides, but there's other upper versions of it with higher density, higher resources. We launched a 500, understanding that we want to win the mid-range space. And there was a particular need, to be able to come out with enterprise services, as you see, with simplicity and really affordable. So I never know how much things cost, and I rely a lot heavily on Mark and Sonia for this. Ask me, yes. I never know. I'll tell you how it works. What we're, from a performance perspective, never forget, this is NVMe technology that we're talking about, all SSDs. And you have the choice as well to use SCM drives for metadata. But we'll leave this behind so we don't need to go too much into details, and you'll have a copy of this presentation. So anything you wish to know about this, we'll be glad to discuss even more details. If you didn't see the array itself, this is what it looks like from a 500 perspective. But again, the best thing for us to do is demo the unit. And this is something that I really encourage you to reach out to the Saitech team and let's show it to you. Let's show how this really works. The last thing I'm going to say about the PowerStore 500 compared to the bigger models, the most important thing is the low line voltage. So you can have a 108 voltage and not have the need of a 208 type of power connection. So I mean, this is huge, right? This can go pretty much anywhere. If you let my imagination go in the train, it can go in your kitchen if you wanted to go radical that way or not. But it's made for environments that are very, very well suited for this type of array. That includes compute, storage, networking, and compute. So in a nutshell, we're bridging this generation of storage and this generation of storage to market, and it's directly heads-on addressing these challenges from a developer landscape or cloud integration landscape, data gravity, automation, orchestration, a lot of things. But let us take a chance to really understand your environment and really decide what would be the best platform for you, and we can definitely do this. So I'm going to pause there before we move on to the compute side of the house. I do see a few chat questions. I don't know if they're all addressed or not, but let me just peek here. And looks like we're good to go. So let's move right along. If there's any questions, again, I encourage you to post them into the chat box, and we'll get those answered. So that without saying that, we talked about storage, and this is one piece of the equation, right? We talk a bit about primary storage. There is a lot out there. PowerVault, Unity, we're talking PowerStore, there's PowerMax, PowerScale, everything's power, like almost mind-boggling. But we cannot neglect talking about servers, and we're well positioned in that space as well. We're number one in that space, and let's take a look at it. Recently, we launched something that is really unusual. And this is what it looks like from a launch perspective. First to market to announce server announcements in 2021. Largest PowerEdge announcement ever. So 17 servers on March 17. I don't know who thought about that. That was pretty creative. This is where we had Pat Gilzinger on the stage from an Intel perspective, side by side to AMD, share the stage. Nothing we ever seen in the market ever before. and again, first to ship from an AMD perspective, and we're looking at, more or less 45 days pre-announced. So that is pretty cool. So what is driving the value for your organization? And I'll bring it back straight up front, right? We talked about modernizing these workloads, right? The 3 key items, making sure these are self-provisioned. That self-driving equation comes back, it comes back to the table. You want your IT resources to focus on what is important for the company and less on patching, firmware, updating, and working with servers and managing all these moving parts. You want to focus that energy towards your business so you can make more money and hopefully grow your business. We embrace cloud. We embrace hybrid multi-cloud. And if we can understand your journey to the cloud, it makes it easier, right? Michael Dell said the best, right? Cloud's not a destination, it's an operating model. And this really ties in well to our story. We're looking at workloads and making sure we optimize all your workloads in a modern fashion. This makes you and gives you a competitive edge within your market value. So why not leverage it? AI, edge, these are hot topics. And this is really where we focus our energy around the 15th generation. That being said, the fact that we're launching 15th generation, we're not discontinuing the 14th generation. So that is something really upfront that we need to make sure we understand right off the bat. 14th gen is not going anywhere. It's there to stay. We just needed to address important market needs that just couldn't wait for a high performance perspective, or if you're looking for MX technology, so the bladed technology. All right. So I won't go too much into details, but this is really, making it simple for our customers that are looking at either business applications, or if you're looking at analytics, what is the trend? Here are the servers, here are the gains, and here's what the expectations that we meet upon them. All right. So again, we'll not go. I will go fast on these, but you'll get those, so you can definitely look into it at your leisure. But before closing, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this. And this is where Saitech is your partner, your trusted source, your mentor as far as technology. And we gain this position in the industry by understanding your environment. Our tool, Live Optics, Saitech team leverages that to really understand your environment. And I encourage you, I think we should have a question. I think we had surveys that didn't get the chance to ask questions, but I think I'd probably stick out and say, hey, the first customer that engages Saitech should have, some reward around it, because we get to understand your environment. And then, if there is a chance to refresh or modernize your environment, then we have the insurance policy that we're right sizing. So Live Optics is really our tool to really understand and give you that business outcome that you're looking for. And that touches server storage, data protection, how do we protect it, cybersecurity, and so much input to give you that best, good, and better approach into your digital transformation. So this is where I'll stop. I know we had a lot of stuff to cover, and really, again, there is a lot of stuff, but engage us, engage Saitech, and we'll extend that conversation with you, and really entertain that conversation and where you are in your journey and where you want to go. So I wish to thank you, everybody, for your time. And